Whether you're seeking inspiration, wisdom, or a fresh perspective on leadership and entrepreneurship, the Building Interest podcast has you covered. Together, we explore the successes of groundbreaking leaders, the triumphs, the challenges, and the invaluable lessons they learn along the way. Our discussions go beyond strategic decision-making and delve into the personal hobbies and passions that keep these leaders inspired and grounded in their work. I'm your host, Greg Farber. Let's jump right in. Today, we're joined by Juliana Perez, Assistant Vice President and Branch Manager of our Belmont branch here at Leader Bank. Juli started here as a teller 10 years ago and has since worked her way up to being one of our most caring and inspiring leaders. Today, we will dig into the challenges she has overcome immigrating to the United States, as well as understand how her selfless nature has shaped her leadership style and success. Welcome, Juli.
Thank you, Greg.
How are you today?
Very good. Very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It is very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your story.
Thank you.
So as I said, let's jump right in. Let's go back to your roots a little bit. I hinted at, obviously, you having immigrated here. So tell us a bit about where you were born and where you grew up.
Okay. So I was born in Colombia in a very remote place. So, Greg, when I tell you remote, think about the most remote place. It's not there. A little bit further.
So beyond the last dirt road.
Exactly.
On a little trail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I was born and raised there until I was probably 5. And it was a farm where we had all types of animals. It was a milk farm, so milk was the source of income. My dad will milk the cows, and my mom will grow the veggies, and I will help her grow the veggies.
Do you remember? I mean, you said until you were about 5. You actually remember being there?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And I remember everything was very green. The mountains, it was very quiet and very calm. The sound was the river that was passing by. So it was a very nice memory of my childhood there.
And did you say it was in the mountains?
Yes.
So I have to imagine you came away from that with a love of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know, maybe you hated it and just wanted something different. But I assume that you have that love of nature. And then this opportunity came for your family to come here to the U.S.
Yes. So for my mom, education was always very important. So from that little place that I was talking about, we moved to another place that was a little bit closer to the nearest town, and I went to school there.
Okay.
And then...
Now, when you say like nearest town, like how far are we talking from like an actual city?
Okay, from the actual... So the city is Medellin.
Yep. And
from there, it's about 3 hours.
Okay.
And to that place, you can't even get to in a car. You have to either walk. You get to a certain place,
yep,
and then you either take a horse or you walk.
Wow. Okay, not even like a Jeep trail.
Exactly. So we moved to that place, to another farm. Same thing, my dad was the farmer, and my mom will take care of the house and grow the veggies. And when I look back, at that time, we didn't have the perks of the city. But now that I look back, we were very fortunate because we had everything,
Well, it was the only world you knew.
Exactly. But we did have, we were growing our own food. We had milk. We had the eggs.
Right.
We had the chickens.
You didn't have to rely on anyone else.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool in a way, but also kind of limiting, right? So then there was this impetus to move, and you ended up here in the U.S. How did that come about?
Yeah, so... When I was 11, my mom is, okay, guys, we're going to U.S. When we came here, it was very hard. As an immigrant, my mom and my dad had to work various jobs. My dad washing dishes, my mom being a housekeeper and cleaning at nights sometimes. And it was very hard because they had to... come from the little town to a big city, which is Boston, because we came here. And the culture, the challenge of the culture and the language.
Were they looking for a place to start over, or were they looking for a place for you to go, like, be enrolled in school in a big city rather than in the tiny town
exactly.
where you were from?
Mm-hmm. My mom and my dad working really hard. My brother and I went to school. We learned English, and it was... We found, our place on earth, missing Colombia, but we were happy to be here and have the opportunities to go to school and learn the language.
Now, in this story, we come to a point that I find it seems kind of terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, your parents decided to move back, but you decided to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, how old were you when this happened? Because that changes just how terrifying it is. But still, now all of a sudden, you're on your own. So how did that all happen?
Yeah, so I just finished high school, and something happened very sad. My mom was diagnosed with clinical depression.
I'm sorry.
Yes, that was a very, very hard moment in our family. So my mom was diagnosed with clinical depression, and she was very sick. You know, the strongest woman I knew, which she was a very hard worker, was little by little shutting down.
Right, it's very debilitating.
Exactly. So it was very hard, and she loved working, and because of the depression, she wasn't able to even get up or go to work. And so my dad sat with me, and he said, okay, I think it's time for us to go back. We really need the support of the family, and we need to go back to home.
And maybe being back in a place where she's from, there's that comfort level where you feel like you have your warm blanket and you can be more yourself again.
Exactly.
Did it work out for her?
She's very good right now.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, she is.
But
then,
you decided to stay.
Yes. So my dad, okay, guys, it's
How do you even have that conversation with your family?
It was really hard. My dad sat with me and said, okay, we're going back. Say bye to your friends. And something in me was, I can't go back. This is, by that time I was here for 9 years. So most of my teenager
here, yeah.
Exactly. My teenager years were all here. And so I didn't want to go back. I at that moment I realized, am I from there? Am I from here? It was very, very hard to make that decision. But I told my dad, I don't think I want to go back. My mom was not even part of the conversation. She was extremely sick. But I told him I don't think I can go back. And
this had become your comfort place where you would feel lost if you went back. And
exactly. My dad told me I wasn't able to do it.
Because he didn't think you could, or because he didn't want you to?
Because I was too young, and he was right. I was just a little girl. So he said, you're not gonna make it. And I'm making it.
You are making it. Which is an interesting thing, right? Because maybe you would not give someone the same advice because it is very early to be on your own at 17. On the other hand, something tells me you wouldn't change a thing.
Yes, I was going to say that. For a long time, I was stalking the what if or the should haves. I should have gone back. Because my mom, at the time when we were going to go back, my mom said, I have all the college. Like, you can go to college in Colombia. But I don't know, something inside me was, no, you can do it. Do it on your own. You can go with your life without your parents. And that strength came from within, and I stayed here. So after the years, going back to your point, yes, I wouldn't change a thing. The what ifs and should haves will eat your brain.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of time worrying about what should have been, and
exactly
come to where you are, really in a way by yourself, and that's really amazing and impressive.
Yeah, no, but I always say, when I say by myself, there was a lot of people that supported me.
Right.
And without them, it wouldn't be possible. And it was that hard decision of saying bye to my parents, because they went back to Colombia, and it was me at 17 being, now this is life.
And you had no other family here or anyone else?
No, but
it's
I
just
did.
Juli on her own.
Exactly. But I did have a friend.
Okay.
And she was the one. Her name is Lina. She came to me and said, stay at my house. And I don't even think that she talked to her mom at that time.
She said, let's do this.
Yes, you can stay at my home, like very, no problem. And she talked to her mom, The mom said yes, and I can't thank them enough because without them, I wouldn't be able to stay. So that family took me as one of theirs.
Wow.
They had my friend and two younger daughters, and I became part of the family.
That's amazing.
Yes, I so grateful for them. Without them, I wouldn't make it. And that's it. I hope my mom says she's proud of me. I'm proud of myself. My dad still hasn't said it, but I'm sure he is.
Maybe
And I hope he is.
he's just not the type to say it out loud.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine.
I mean, in the end, it almost sounds like it worked out the best in both ways because your mom's doing better.
Exactly.
And you found your place and you found your way.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously now at the beginning, that's not easy. And not unlike a lot of other young people starting out. You obviously worked a lot of different jobs kind of at the beginning across different industries to kind of find your way in the workforce. As you were exploring now being a young adult and having to hopefully finished school, you're done with, you're moving on to getting jobs and things. Was there any particular direction or job that stood out to you that kind of shaped you, whether good or bad, just as you're exploring where you're going in life?
So as soon as I left, I knew I had to work. I mean, life said that's it. Let me see what you're made of. And I started doing different types of jobs. My first job, I remember, was at a Mexican taqueria where I was helping clients with their orders, a cashier. So I that was my first job, and that was customer service. So I feel like customer service came from that job. After that, I went to work to a check cashing place and selling cell phones. So all types of sales and customer service, which ultimately I ended up in banking.
Where you started as a teller. Again, customer service, direct upfront line, helping with the
Front
clients.
line.
So you really took a shine to this, helping people out as your strength and your way to kind of move forward.
Yeah.
Did you have a goal in mind when you decided to try a job as a teller, or did you just started and then realized this is where I fit? Because obviously you haven't bounced around a lot since that day.
I know. So
wait, were you a teller at anywhere else, or just you became a teller at Leader Bank and now you're still here?
No. So I was at a different financial institution, and I was doing the same thing as a teller. And after 1 year, I wasn't happy, honestly. I felt, this institution was very sales and pushy oriented. And I felt that I needed a change.
It didn't speak to what you were best at.
Exactly. It didn't match my my values or that. So I wanted a change. And then I started searching. I found Leader Bank, and I applied, and this was 10 years ago. So I went to the interview.
Congratulations, by the way. That's a huge milestone.
Thank you. It's actually this month. This month is my 10-year
Awesome.
anniversary. Thank you. And I went to the interview. At that time when I was interviewed, I didn't know that a new branch was going to be open, and happened to be Seaport. And I was hired to be the universal banker for the Seaport branch. So I am very proud to be that I was part of that opening of the new branch.
Really kind of came from nothing handed to you. You're staying with a friend. You start doing odd jobs around the place. You tell her for a while. You realize customer service is where you want to be. And all of a sudden you have this opportunity and you get to be part of opening a brand new branch at our company. And now we fast forward from there, and all of a sudden here you are, you're developing teams, you're running your own branch. What is your approach to all of this? You've come on this, you've obviously earned your way along, and now you have this opportunity to bring other people along with you. And this is kind of where we can start talking a little bit about different leadership styles and things, right? So what is that like for you to, well, first of all, I guess let's talk a little bit about opening a branch brand new. right? Because that was a whole new thing. This place didn't exist where we're sitting today doing this recording. As part of, you came on to be hired for this. And now, what was that like, being part of a brand new team and then sort of building that branch out with that team?
So when I came to Leader Bank, it felt, so I started to feel that sense of family, sense of unity. It was more as we're a team, and that's how I always have felt here. Opening this branch was very proud moment, because and especially the area, Seaport, at that time there were no buildings, so I saw everything grow, and as everything grew, I saw myself growing personally and in my career.
It's almost metaphorically.
Exactly.
This all used to be parking lots, right? And now
it's
fully grown buildings. And
exactly, it was, the buildings are there, it was just a hole. So every day I would come to work, I'll see it grow. And I really like this job. I like the people I work with. I was very fortunate to work with Savi. She was the manager at the time. From the beginning, she always saw something in me that I didn't see it. Unfortunately, sometimes the imposter syndrome goes in. and she still is a great coach to me, mentor. And her support and her coaching always helped me.
And sometimes that's the best way, right? Because you can be your own worst critic, or you can be blind to your own abilities, and to have someone to see something in you and push that a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've heard you described as an over-carer, okay?
Wow.
You're always thinking of others and putting other people first and so forth. How does that fit into sort of the role of, you're still a leader at a financial institution, right? So you have to have certain specific metrics, but at the same time, your biggest strength is caring about people.
Yes. So when going back in 5 years ago, I was promoted to be a branch manager. I remember when I was told about this, I was extremely scared, because it was another change for me.
But you didn't apply for that. You were asked to take this role on. So
yeah.
Again, someone saw something in you and said, this is the next step for Juli.
Exactly. And I just remember I was excited but scared, because now I'm the captain of the ship. And for me, it was scary, but it was very challenging. I went to manage the Burlington branch, where I had my own team. And my approach has always, and always in my mind, is as long as the people that you work with and your team is happy, then everything else it's gonna work. You have happy team, you have happy clients, and
People
that's
who
the
want to
ultimate.
be there, want to do the work.
Exactly. People that want to be there, and I think at Leader Bank we do that very well. I think the interview process, it's meant to hire quality people, and you can see that in the culture here at Leader Bank.
How do you balance that leadership with, and now we're going to go back obviously a little bit in time too, you've had so many different moments of sort of struggle throughout your life, also finding time to overcare for yourself?
I know, yes.
Or don't you?
No. The thing is
I have to think you do.
The thing is that in order for you to motivate others and have a happy team, a motivated team, you have to motivate yourself. That you can't pour from an empty glass. So
I like that.
But that's true, right?
Yeah.
You can't. So
it's obvious once you say it, right? You don't think it, but as soon as you said it,
exactly.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Exactly. So I try to motivate myself, stay very positive.
Does it come naturally, or do you have any tips on how to motivate yourself? Sometimes I could use a little extra motivation.
Well, I have this thing that in the mornings for me are important. Whenever I'm driving to work and I get traffic, the stress, I the moment I go inside the office, everything is out. We are here to have a great day, and I do that for myself and for my team.
So just a little reminder.
Yes.
I'm here now. This is what I'm doing.
A
And you can
constant
focus
reminder.
yourself back in.
Yes.
That's really cool. Now, we just obviously mentioned a minute ago that you've been here for 10 years now. And I'd ask you what you're most proud of in your journey, but I feel like the whole journey might be the answer.
Yes.
But I kind of want to know what's next. What's your next big proud moment that you want to see in the next 10 years?
In the 10 years, I definitely want to grow within the industry and continue to be my best self, stay positive, and give my best.
Now, outside of work, you've got a lot of other passions. You mentioned early on that you obviously lived in this very lush, green, peaceful, mountainous area, and you said that you had a love of nature with that. Mm-hmm. Do you still do, like, the fitness, the nature, the hiking, these kind of things?
Whenever I'm not in working, you will find me going out for a walk. When the weather gets nicer, I always go on hikes. I love the mountains and nature, outdoors. It inspires me. It does, and it brings me back to my roots, and that's what I really enjoy.
Any favorite hikes around here?
I want to say Mount Wheeler. Do you know it, in New Hampshire?
Yeah. Is it Crawford Notch?
It's called Mount Wheeler. And it's very
nice. It does
nice.
sound familiar for sure.
It's not hard at all. It's very easy. It's less than 3 miles, and it has a very nice view.
Nice.
Because that's what I love. Once you go up, you see the view. Perfect. Beautiful.
I also love hiking. That's why I ask, because I'm always curious to hear where.
What's your favorite one?
God, I don't know that I could give you a favorite.
I know it's really hard, but if I think about one, it's that one.
I mean, I think for me the favorite thing. So there's two things that drive me with the hiking. One is just that being in the woods, that smell.
Exactly.
You just walk in there, you smell the earth, you smell everything around you. It's just, there's a calming about that somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But then, it is definitely the destination for me. It's getting to the top and having the view, like you described.
Yeah.
I would much rather hike uphill for 8 hours to have a great view than hike in a circle for 2 hours and have no view.
Exactly. Yeah, you do it for the view. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, with this love of nature, and we've already established that you care about a great many things, you also love animals and plants and things. Yes. Tell us a little bit about that. And you think this all goes back to your very early childhood and kind of what you were surrounded? I
believe so. Yes. I love all living things, honestly. Right now, my house, I have over 60 plants. Nice. So I am a plant lady and also a cat lady.
Okay.
I have a
60
cat.
Cats too? No, not that many.
No, not yet.
Or more?
No, just one.
Okay.
Just one. He's 11 years old.
Wow.
He's big. He's 20 pounds. Yeah, it's a big cat. And the caring, again, inspires me. It goes back to nature.
And this may be a difficult question, but is there any way you could describe what about the caring is inspiring to you?
Very good question. Thing with plants, I looked at them and I looked at how ourselves, right? If you don't water a plant, you need to care for it. Mm-hmm. And by caring it, you make it grow.
I think I know exactly what you're trying to say. Is it fair to say that the caring, it's not necessarily that you're caring because the result is the end goal, but the result of process. Seeing it growing and whatever provides some fulfillment that you've had a hand in making something else get better.
Correct. And trusting the process.
Sounds like exactly the same way that you approach your work.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go to a segment now that we call What Would You Choose? It's a little bit of a rapid fire round. After talking to you for a little bit here, I feel like I have some idea of how you're going to answer, but maybe you'll surprise us.
Okay.
So let's see how you feel about these.
Okay.
I'll give you a this or that, and you tell me which one you would choose.
Okay. Exciting.
Okay, we'll start with an easy one.
Okay.
I think it's easy anyway.
Okay.
Mountains or beach?
Come on, Greg.
I didn't write the question.
Mountains.
No, wait. I kind of figured, but you never know, right? I like both. And so that's the thing. If I've been to one recently, I might want to go to the other. But I do think mountains is more my happy
I know.
place too.
And that question has come. Like, I heard that question before. And whenever I think about a house, most people, a beach house. Okay, good. I want a house that I can see green, the mountains. Mm-hmm.
I'm with you with that.
Right.
And the little quiet
calmness.
stream
Yes.
running through the back.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm there with you. Well, maybe not. Next question.
Okay.
Solo adventure or group outing?
Group.
Okay.
The team orientation comes there.
Okay. So you like the group, you like to experience these places and these things with other folks.
Together, yes. However, I would like once to do a solo trip, but I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Into the mountains or a solo trip just in general?
A trip. I love traveling too, so maybe I'll do one. That's on my wish list.
You should.
Yeah.
Never know what you might learn about yourself, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Structure or flexibility?
Flexibility.
Good, because you're going to need it to go on that solo trip. You can't be too structured if you go on a trip by yourself.
Yeah. I want to be flexible,
Learn and explore new things.
Yes.
Would you say that you would prefer to lead by example or guide from behind?
Lead by example. Yes.
You want to be the strong voice at the front and show the right way forward.
Yeah, and because I think I admire that from whoever I look at as my leader. Like I want to follow that, and I think that happened. Going back to my story, to my mom. My mom being a strong person, a hard worker. Like I saw that, so I follow it.
And it's interesting, right? Because you mentioned just a second ago, follow your own. You had a leader that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you're not in the front. But then to have that same impact on someone else, you maybe have to be in the front.
Correct.
All right, last one. And, well, this is interesting, right? Because, again, we work in an industry that's very metrics-driven.
Mm-hmm.
Heart-first leadership or results-driven leadership?
What's the first one?
Heart first.
Heart?
Yeah, you lead with your heart, your passion?
Oh, heart.
Or do you lead with the results in mind?
Passion, always.
Always with the passion?
Always with the passion, yes.
Like you said earlier, if you have enough passion, the results will come?
Yes. No, I strongly believe in that. When you give passion on anything that you do, you're going to see results.
And I think that's a message regardless of whether it's personal or business, regardless of whether you're in banking or any other industry.
Correct.
If you put the effort into it because you feel it, not because someone told you to, but because you feel it.
Exactly.
It makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now it's your turn to inspire if you haven't already inspired us enough. This was the segment where we asked you to do a little homework and think of something, a person, a memory, an object, something that you wanted to share with us that brings you special inspiration, and tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. Here's my object.
Shocking. A plant. Let me guess. Do you care for it?
Very predictable. So again, plants, it symbolizes nurturing. is embraces caring, and it also trusting the process. So this is my plant. I actually got it from, I have the mother. This one was a little baby from it, and I planted. And as a token of appreciation, I wanted to bring it to you.
Me?
Yes, for
Oh my-
hosting me.
I get a little piece of Juli?
Yes, correct.
Oh my God.
And the compromise is that when this one starts popping babies, you give that
I
to
have to
people.
pass it on.
Yes, pass it along.
I love what you said a second ago, trusting the process. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by that?
Trusting the process. Things might not happen at the moment for you, but again, going back to the passion and caring, and if you really want to, the universe has an amazing way to help you achieve your things if you really want to. So it's put your thoughts, your energy, and things will happen if you really want it.
You're going to think it's just because you gave me something, but this is perhaps one of the most inspiring things that we've
Aw.
gotten, because I love the inspiration angle of not just that you thought of this and nurtured this and are passing it on, but that implicit expectation that I also nurture it and that I pass it on. I think that's really cool because that keeps that inspiration going. I think that's very unique. I love that. Anything else you want to share with us today, or any specific thoughts or comments you might have to any of our listeners, or anything we should know? Should know about Juli, something I didn't ask that's really important?
No. I just wanted to say thank you for this space. I think is you guys, the podcast has been doing an amazing job of you. And no, I am honored and very happy to be here.
I think we're honored to have someone of your caliber and your personality. It's awesome to, like you mentioned, just our culture in general, but to have this kind of humility and passion and excitement surrounding us on a daily basis at work is a great place to be. Don't forget to subscribe and rate our show. The Building Interest podcast is live on all podcast platforms and YouTube. We want to hear what you think of each episode and encourage you to submit any questions that you want us to cover. So please find us on YouTube or TikTok and comment your thoughts. All opinions expressed by Juliana Perez are her own and not the opinions of LeaderBank NA. For more information on today's subject, visit leaderbank.com. In addition to past episodes, you can also find our Learning Center blog for more insights. This podcast is a production of LeaderBank, an equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 449250.